Good evening, hello and welcome ladies and gentlemen back for another round of the Trippsix Motorsport Super Touring Championship. We're back in Germany for one of the most legendary circuits in modern motorsport. Of course, we're here at the Hockenheim ring for another round of the amazing championship. Rounds 11 and 12, of course, event 6 of an 8-event calendar spanning 16 races over the course of this magnificent season. My name is Zach Sweeney, I'm your commentator, talking you through each and every single little bit of action that's about to come our way around an amazing circuit like Hockenheim. It's a bit of a love it or hate it, especially the new rendition of Hockenheim. It's certainly one that I love, especially when it comes to amazing touring car racing, like the action that we're going to have here on Racestream Racing Experience. Let's take a quick look as to how things rack up in the Drivers' Championship up to this point. Of course, over recent times, it's been a bit of a runaway from Lloyd Biddulph. As you can see, there are 180 points. 35 clear of Bence Farkas and Zolder, 145 and 142 apiece for the Hungarian and Pole respectively. Then comes Pascal Jean-Pietre and then Vladislav to round off the top 5. Again, a very hard-fought fight there. Pavel Mukkonen, the debutant for this season, the Russian driver, taken a number of podiums in 6th. Then comes Shaw's Oyster, Sebastian Ray, 7th and 8th. Will Lawson, Stu Neal round off the top 10. Then comes Alan Axon and Luciano Wittwer, who's had a bit of a backward stance on this season so far. Through the rest of the field, we've got the likes of Thomas Centino, Ezequiel Cheminando, the two Argentinians, 13th and 14th. Victor Banat Rubio with a much better season so far this season in 15th. Fraser Rostance, Benny Norton, 16th and 17th. Then comes Ian Deeney and Nick Papadin, matched on 9 points apiece. Simon Trebek, Emmanuel Lopez, the last of those that managed to score points. Still waiting for Speva, Poddy Flack and Rus Butcher to get themselves onto the points scoring standings of this championship. Of course, for those unfamiliar with the Trippsix Motorsport Championship, what we have is the Drivers' Championship, and the prize pool for that is £300. So first gets 150, second is 100, and third is 50. There's then also an additional £20 prize for anyone that finishes with the fewest number of incident points over the course of the season. So it pays to be clean. Let's put it that way. So of course, the big fight that we're going to be looking out for is that top 3 fight. As it stands, Farkas and Zolder are not really separated by a lot in their bid for second place, and let's not forget that is a big difference. I mean, 50 Great British pounds difference between second and third. It's a decent chunk of money and not much in terms of a decent chunk of points separating the two, and not really much separating them in this practice session either. 3/1000ths of a second as it stands separate Zolder, Farkas, and just over half a tenth separate the top 3, who are all in the top 3 in the championship. Inverted order, of course: Zolder, Farkas, Biddulph, as opposed to Biddulph, Farkas, Zolder. Should be a lot of fun here today, though, of course, and we'll move ourselves into a 12-minute qualifying before then into 2 20-minute races, of which the second will be a top 10 reverse grid based on the order of race number 1. As I say, I'm very much looking forward to this race. I love the Hockenheim ring. I know it's a circuit, as I say, that it's very touch and go. Some people love it, some people not so much, but I think that this edition of the circuit, of course, modernised recently, getting rid of that run through the forest, essentially. I think it was Herman Tilke that redesigned it. Anyway, with the new Hockenheim, the modern Hockenheim, it boasts itself quite well. I mean, some people don't like it because it's quite bland, it's quite flat, it's quite checkboxy, I suppose. It just ticks boxes rather than having character. But I don't necessarily think there's anything wrong with it. I think it definitely ticks the right boxes. It's got fast corners, it's got difficult corners, it's got, of course, that huge overtaking opportunity going into the Spitzker hairpin, and slipstream here is always paramount. So, especially in sort of lower formula racing, sort of junior formula and touring cars and things like that, especially sort of in front-wheel drive cars as well, I always find the Hockenheim ring to be a lot of fun. But even when you get to GT3 and even Formula 1 cars around the Hockenheim ring can produce some really good racing. So just that, all in all, I think Hockenheim can be a spectacle, and I honestly can't remember the last time I witnessed a bad race here at Hockenheim. It always produces, and some of my fondest memories in racing have come here at Hockenheim. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Of course, that slipstream from turn 3 all the way to turn 6. I don't get how the Spitzker hairpin is turn 6, because you come off turn 2, the Einfahrt Parabolica. I don't know what Einfahrt is. Maybe it means before the Parabolica. Either way, then you go through 3, that kink to the left that leads you onto the Parabolica. and somehow that's counted as 2 corners. Yeah, maybe it is counted as 4 and 5, the first bit, then the second bit leads you into 6. Not my problem. I don't name the corners by any means. So anyway, we are into the 12 minutes of qualifying. Of course, if you are watching along on the Trippsix Motorsport Super Touring Champion, Trippsix Motorsport, it's just Trippsix Motorsport, sorry, I should say, YouTube channel. Do make sure to drop a like, subscribe, and leave some comments in the YouTube chat as well. I don't bite, I promise. I'd love to get you guys involved, give me your thoughts, feelings, queries, questions, anything that really tickles your fancy as the race goes along. Let me know who you're supporting, where you're watching from, how your day's been, everything on those lines, and of course, yeah, tell me how you think about the racing as we're going along. As we stand, of course, as I say, we're into our qualifying session, where your aim is to set the quickest lap time possible to set your starting position for race number 1, which of course will be 20 minutes in length. And it's race number 1 is either the, well, of course, I was going to say it's either the best race of the evening or the worst, or the worst race of the evening. That makes sense because there's only 2 races, so one of them has to, tip the scale or whatever. But they're usually for sort of 2 different reasons. Race 1 can be the best because everyone's nice and close, and you've got all the front runners at the front where they should be, and there's not really so much in the way of, well, there's not as many variables to get into the mix with the front runners as such. So they can all, duke it out with the front and have their fun. But then also race 2 is good for its own reasons, of the fact that it's then the quicker guys, or those that finished higher up in race 1, I should say, then trying to fight their way forward. You've then got the chance of an underdog win as such. So they're both, I suppose they can both be really good for their own reasons, and both can have their drawbacks for also certain reasons as well. But all in all, yeah, I think we are in for 2 absolute barnstorming races. I also think we're in for an interesting qualifying session as well. As you can see, we've got a long chain of cars. As I said, slipstream is quite important here at the Hockenheim ring. Yeah, there are a lot of corners where it does pay to be by yourself, but there's also this long flat-out run, basically from turn 2 all the way to the Spitzke hairpin is flat out. So if you can be in a nice slipstream, you could well gain 2-3 tenths of a second over the course of your lap. That's also including the other parts of the circuit where you are flat out. It is a compromise though. You've got to be with someone that you can trust and someone that you know is going to run close, if not quicker, to your pace, because otherwise you're just going to get stuck behind them when you do eventually get to the twisty stuff. So it was all about an element of trust in that regard, and judging how far back you want to be, how much risk versus reward you can get from being behind someone. If you can nail it, by all means go for it. Marius stabbed it out at the moment, leading the way, of course, not going to be getting any form of a slipstream from those around him. So maybe he might do 1 bank lap time and then try and drop back into the pack and see if he can pick up a little bit of a tow from those behind. Purple to first 2 sectors, of course, because he's the only one to have set a time so far through the first 2 sectors. Through the Mobil 1 curve, then towards the Sachs curve, which is a very, very difficult corner to get exactly right. Slightly cambered, of course, on that inside run, so it does pay to be nice and tight all the way around, but also being careful of that curb on that inside. Anyone that's driven anything here will know that if you get 2 wheels on that curb, it can unsettle the car quite significantly. Marius Abdir going through the Sud curve, the final corner, and then run to the line. Let's see what the benchmark time is. 1:47.9. Not the best lap time compared to what we've seen from Zabdir, but it has to be said that he didn't have a slipstream, and as it stands is still significantly quicker than the rest of the field. So fair play to Zabdir, a pretty decent banker time put in. Bence Farkas gets closer, then it comes Nenad Vladislavljevic up to second. Of course, can't get too excited just yet because it is only the first couple of laps in this qualifying session. Thank you, Gregor, of course. Hello, welcome to you, and thank you very much for the kind words. Very much is appreciated. Are you looking forward to some good racing? I hope so, because yeah, I'm very much looking forward to see what these guys get up to. Of course, the last round when we went to Zolder, we were at Zolder last week, I should say. Blimey, that is bad, isn't it? Yeah, we were at Zolder last week. I do apologise, ladies and gentlemen. It was the Saxon ring I was thinking of. Yeah, it was a couple of weeks ago. I had a race in my head. Sorry, I'm just having a blonde moment here. I'm going to get you in on it because I just froze for 3 seconds. The race in my head from last week was the one we had at Saxon ring 3 weeks ago on the 8th of October. And I was thinking, we weren't at Zolder, because Zolder doesn't have huge drop-offs and ups and downs. And then I remembered, I've just looked at the calendar, we were at Zolder last week. Zolder was some good racing, especially race number 2, I remember. We had some 3 wide moments and such, and fights to the lead as well. But also 2 weeks before that, we went to the Sachsenring as well. That was also a good race, both of which Lloyd Biddulph had won both races, both at the Sachsenring and at Zolder. So I do apologise for that. That was just me having a moment. Either way. Maybe it's because I was thinking our last trip to Germany as such. We are going to be taking 3 of those, by the way. So far we've had Sachsenring on the 8th of October, we're now at the Hockenheim, and in 2 weeks' time when we go to the final round of the championship, or the final event I should say, at the Nürburgring GP in 2 weeks' time on the 12th of November. Blimey, I am... Yeah, it's fine. Just ignore me. I definitely know what I'm talking about, and if it's not me and it is Darragh Thacker in the commentary booth next season, then you firmly know why. Speaking of next season, by the way, see this is where I do redeem myself, because I can segue quite nicely. The 3rd season of the Trippsix Motorsport Super Touring Championship is happening. As it stands, we've got a provisional start date. That's going to be on the 18th of February in 2024. We're going to be hopefully increasing the prize money. As it stands, of course, as I say, we've got £320 in total. That hopefully will be bumped up a little bit, so maybe Rich Weatherall is going to smash the cash just a little bit more, because already, considering it's a free-to-enter community-based championship, to be getting 150 quid for winning, not bad at all. And if that can be bumped up a little bit, then by all means, yeah, no complaints from those drivers out there. More stakes to be driven for. And then also for those familiar with the British Touring Car Championship, the BTCC, they have what's called the Jack Sears Trophy, which is basically the trophy for the underdogs. Anyone that hasn't finished on the podium, what happens is, I suppose maybe for the likes of, for those more familiar with F1, the likes of Nico Hülkenberg or whoever, those that score points but don't quite get onto the podium as such, they're going to have their own separate cup. They'll still be involved in the overall standings as such, but they'll then have their own side cup, similar to, I suppose, like a Ricky Cup or an AM Cup or a something like that, where they are still counted in the main thing. They just have their own group championship of that group of people, and that'll be the driver with the highest number of points and no podiums will take the win of that one. So I suppose if you're doing really well in the Super Touring Cup and you're in a podium place, do you back off and drop to 4th or something? I don't know. We'll find out in a couple of months' time when we head to Season 3. Let's finish Season 2 first off, of course. As you can see, Bence Farkas is setting the way in qualifying, just 8 thousandths of a second clear of Mariusz Sabdir. Lloyd Biddulph in 3rd as well, so, only a 10th of a second covering the top 3 in this race. So, or in this qualifying session, blimey, I'm full of them today, guys. I don't know. I don't know what it is. I need some caffeine or something. But anyway, the top 3 in this qualifying session, I really don't know what is going on. But it's fine. We move. It's fine. I'm by myself. I'm going insane. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe I need Darragh Thacker just to come and sit with me for a little bit. It's fine. We're all good. He talked you through, of course, Interlagos, for those that were there for the Interlagos round a few weeks ago. Did a brilliant job over a couple of amazing races at Interlagos, so we'll be all right to film with shoes. Hopefully not, though, because I do quite like this job of the Trippsix Super Touring Championship. It was a nice opportunity by March this year, where Rich Weatherall sent me an email and said, very crudely, he was just like, "You right, mate? You free on these dates? We've got a touring car championship on Raceroom." I was like, "Yeah, all right." Boom, done, sorted. Start of an era for the Trippsix Motorsport guys, who had obviously done other stuff, and they do other stuff. The touring car championship they have on R-Factor 2 on a Wednesday as well. But in terms of the Raceroom stuff on Trippsix Motorsport Super Touring Championship, and we had a lot of fun over last season. Lloyd Biddulph, of course, taking the championship. Hard-fought fight with Mariusz Sabdir. That's continuing into this season as well, and as I say, we've then got next season to look forward to also, so hopefully many seasons to come in the coming months, maybe years as well, who knows. 2.5 minutes left of qualifying, and still Farkas and Sabdir by 8 thousandths of a second. That is minuscule amounts of time, literally not even barely noticeable to the naked eye, probably not even noticeable to the naked eye. If you ran them side by side, you'd probably see like half of the front splitter across the line first of Farkas, or whatever it is. He's now about to finish another lap, or start his final lap, of course, in Raceroom. Fairly similar to iRacing in that regard. As soon as that timer ticks 0, session is done. Doesn't matter if you're about to set the lap record, doesn't give a Scooby. You don't cross the line before that timer ticks 0, you're not getting your lap time in. And also in some cases, it's about 5-10 seconds before the session ends that the results are brought up. So sometimes you've got to be in even before that. So make sure you're timing your lap times to perfection. Marius Zabdir, of course, a little bit slower to the first sector, which literally consists of turns 1 and 2, and then 3, and then the timing line is just after that. So you've not really got many corners to gain or lose time in that first sector, but it is a very nip and tuck sector where you have to nail each and every single lap. I remember when I was trying to qualify for the Rocket Racing Star Formula 4 Esports Competition UK, here at the Hockenheim ring, putting qualifying lap time in was dreadful, because it was, you know, that first sector, it was, you can gain a 10th and a half through turn 1 alone, or you can lose 3. So very difficult lap to actually hook one up at. A little bit quicker to the second sector, you can see Green to his own time, but of course still slower than Farkas by about 3/100ths of a second across the line. And is it going to be an improvement? Is it going to be pole? No, it's not. It's slower, and that is an end to the session for Zabdir. It's a front row at best. Let's see what Lloyd Biddulph can do there. You can see the 31 machine, oh, that's Bence Farkas, I should say. Both of them, of course, fielding an Audi RS3 for this season. Slight improvement to the first sector. An abysmal second sector will round off his qualifying in disappointment, but still on the second row, still firmly in the mix with 30 seconds left. That means we've not got very long for these guys to put in their lap times. See what you can do. Not an improvement. So after 12 minutes of qualifying, it's Bence Farkas that takes pole position on a 1:47.832, narrowly ahead of Zabdir, who will join him on the front row. Lloyd Biddulph, championship leader in P3, with Nenad Velasevljevic in 4th. John Pietro rounds off the top 5 alongside Pavel Mukonen on row 3. Then comes Shaw's Oyster, Stu Neal 7th and 8th. Ezekiel Cheminando, well done for qualifying inside the top 10 in 9th, shares the 5th row with Alan Axon. Simon Trebek just outside will be looking to make some progress forward. Same too with the Greek of Nick Papadin and Fraser Rostance that shared 12th and 13th place respectively. A very good qualifying session and a very entertaining race hopefully about to come up. I'm going to step aside for just a second. We'll be back for the start of race 1. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are just moments away from getting things underway for race number 1, round 11 of the Trippsix Motorsport Super Touring Championship. We saw an incredibly close qualifying. Farkas and Zabdir separated by just 3 points in the championship standings and separated by just 8/1000ths of a second in qualifying. Lloyd Biddulph, championship leader, just behind them as well, looking to take one step closer to his second title. Let's see what we're in store for here at the Hockenheim ring. It should be a lot of fun, twists, turns, surprises along the way, I'm sure. Make sure, of course, you are watching along. Make sure you've got your popcorn. Make sure you are raring to go. And make sure you are just excited as I am. The 5 red lights come on, 20 minutes on the clock. Round 11 of Season 2 of the Trippsix Motorsport Super Touring Championship. Farkas and Zabdir the front row, and we're underway in Germany once more. Farkas gets away well from the front row. Zabdir tucks into situ just behind the 1, 2, 3 and 4. All single file as they run their way through the very fast turn number 1. And this is where we could see the action happen in the first proper braking zone of the circuit. And Farkas could well be under pressure. Inside or outside, Marius Zabdir thinks about the move. He is going to go for it. He gets given the space. Farkas is sent wide, and Lloyd Biddulph trying to get himself into the mix, but over the curb goes the pole, and Farkas keeps the lead just. He settles himself just ahead, but this is the important run. This run through the parabolica towards the Spitzker hairpin. Slipstream is paramount. Farkas is weaving. He's trying to duck his way out of the toe. Is he going to go defensive? He's covering off the inside line. Which way is Zabdir going to go? Which way is Biddulph going to go in this skirmish as well? He holds the inside firm, but Zabdir sails his way to the outside on the cleaner part of the circuit. Is he going to take the lead? Yes, he is. Beautifully done from Marius Zabdir. Bence Farkas trying to put his foot down, but can't quite contend with the poles on the right foot. Nicely done, and a good way to retake the lead. And of course, after momentarily having it through turn number 2 for a brief moment into the Mercedes arena section, and the top 4 very much firmly settled in single file. The entirety of the top 6 settled in single file. 18.5 minutes left to go, and what a beautiful race so far we've got in store for us. The potential is here to be massive. Pascal Jean-Pietre, I believe in the background, just running ever so slightly wider. It might be Stu Neal, I do apologise, all the way back in 8th place. Through the Mobil 1 curve for the first time. You can see now through the Sachs curve that not really much overtaking that you can do in this final sector. A lot of it is going to be seen, of course, in the run from turn 2 all the way to turn 6. But we round off the first lap here in Hockenheim. First racing lap, of course, and it's Zabdir that leads, probably in a very important couple of races for him, of course. If he wants to have any chance at winning the title, or at least securing second place, he needs to nail every race from here on out, and even then he's going to be riding on a miracle. Into turn number 2, no changes. Pretty much the entire field nose to tail. Only 5 seconds covering 13 cars. You do the maths, that's not a lot between each car. Marius Zabdir pulling about half a second clear, but taking a very wide line. You can see already defending, not even bothering to take the short line through the parabolica. He knows that defending is going to be important here, but not quite with the slipstream. Farkas not quick enough in a straight line in order to close the gap. Are we going to see Biddulph go for a send? Are we going to see anyone go for a send? They constantly their way up. That is wide. Pavel Mukoning sending it very deep on the brakes, and now Shaw's Oyster is trying to get himself into the mix. That's the Alfa Romeo, I should say. Got it wrong both times. Third time for Sharma, of course. It's the Flying Dutchman of Oyster that is very nearly finding his way past him. Very nearly found his way alongside Pavel Mukoning momentarily as well. Welcome in to Sergey as well. So we've got Gregor and Sergey both watching along in YouTube alongside the Formula 1, of course, as you would. Of course, but my attention firmly is on the on this brilliant race that we've got so far for round 11, event 6 of the Trippsix Motorsport Super Touring Championship. Of course, we've got 2 rounds to go after this: Road America and our 3rd trip to Germany at the Nürburgring. But let's run this round first. Of course, let's keep our feet firmly on the ground before we take our off back across the Atlantic Ocean. Before coming back across again, the Trippsix Motorsport Super Touring Championship is all for the environment, because you know it's only sim racing. They're not real airplanes they're flying on across the Atlantic twice over the course of 2 weeks. That'd be outrageous. Across the line to round off lap number 2 and start 3. No changes at the front. Zabdir, Farkas, Biddulph, Vladislav Levic and Pascal Jean-Pietre, the top 5 before we get to Pavel Mukoning, Shaw's Oyster, Stu Neal, Ezekiel Cheminando and Simon Trebek. Pulling out the slipstream momentarily there, Bence Farkas, citing his braking zone more than anything, I think. Maybe just trying to deter Zabdir if he can. But he has closed the gap. Only 0.2 of a second now between the two of them. And you can see there Zabdir once again committing to the long way round through the parabolica. Farkas follows him, but Biddulph goes to the inside to at least maybe have a chance of going side by side, but he's actually finding himself a couple car lengths back. Now we go into the split scare hairpin. It's the outside line for Farkas. It worked for Zabdir, but there's the move. Biddulph follows him through. He spots the inside line perfectly, and there's contact with Zabdir as Biddulph tries to get himself a 2-in-1 deal. It's not quite worked for him, but Farkas is the losing end in this deal. He drops down to third place, but Biddulph now sandwiched between the two Lynx and Co machines. Let's see what they can do into the Mercedes arena. It's late on the brakes for the Hungarian, who's trying to pick his way back in a second. Around the outside goes Lloyd Biddulph, the championship leader. It's going to give him the inside through the right-hand kink. Nicely done from the Brit, who's flying his way in full force into second, but trying to put some pressure on Zabdir, but is forced to look backwards. Here comes Farkas back to the inside of the Mobil 1 curve, and Biddulph is going to send it. There's contact, and Farkas is sent sideways. Now we've got Vladislav getting himself involved. Is he close enough for a move? There you can see Pascal Jean-Pierre trying to get benefit off this situation as well, but no changes there. Bit of contact well held from Farkas, it must be said. But Biddulph now is trying to turn his attention forwards and put some pressure onto Marius Zabdir if he can. Brilliant racing, I have to say. Very much enjoying this. All, of course, thanks to that slipstream run all the way to the split scare hairpin. Biddulph, brave, bold. There we go, and brilliant in his advance. He saw the inside. He knew that Farkas was going to be hung to dry around the outside. So he said, "All right, I'm just gonna nip my way on the inside." There's the gap open. He did it. Minimal contact. Of course, Farkas won't be happy with it, but Biddulph doesn't care. He's now in good stead for a race win, or at the very least a provisional race lead, with 14 minutes left to go. You can see this time Zabdir not opting to go the long way around, even though Biddulph is a lot closer. Maybe he's waiting for that chance to then peel over to the right-hand side, or he's not really too interested in putting up much of a fight to Biddulph, who is going to look. But Zabdir is late enough on the brakes in order to deter him. It's a little bit too late, though. It opens up the inside, and Lloyd Biddulph picks his way through. Side by side once more for the lead they go. Biddulph is on the inside, but he's not quite had that outside momentum that Zabdir has. Maybe that was his thought process. He knows that around the outside he can put his foot down a little bit more effectively and retain that lead on that drag race run towards the Mercedes arena section. Lloyd Biddulph would maybe be wise to allow Zabdir to defend and then go to the outside. Potentially that is the way to go about things in this race. A little bit wide in the background, you can see Oyster under pressure from Stu Neal in their battle. Surprisingly enough, considering the racing that we've seen, there's only been a couple of changes. Nick Papadim up 2 places, Axon down 1. And then you've also got, of course, Zabdir and Biddulph working their way up a place apiece. But apart from that, no one really making many changes. A little bit wide. Moving across the corner for the Serbian of Vladislav. Pascal Jean-Pierre, who has given him a really good fight throughout this season. Of course, they're only separated by 12 points in the championship, so they have been very good rivals in that fight for fourth. Let's see what they've got in store for us. The final bit of the first half, and then of course the entirety of the second half of race number 1. Side by side in the background, you can see Stu Neal on the outside of Shores Oyster, who's going to be the one that comes out on top in that particular skirmish. We'll see as they emerge into the background of shot. It is the Alfa Romeo of Oyster that stays ahead, well defended. The more they battle, not only do they bring in Ezekiel Germinando into the mix, but they also lose the slipstream, they lose contention, and they lose touch to the top 5. Top 6 even, as there's the fight between the top 2. Lloyd Biddulph this time goes to the outside, but he's not quite got enough as Marius Zabdir sends the car in nicely to the apex, straightens it up, leaves no room for Biddulph to find a way past. Retains the lead. Also, Pavel Mikonin moving his way into the top 5, nicely done to the inside of the split scare hairpin. Thinking about it, under brakes is Lloyd Biddulph, down to second gear, hitting a nice apex. Track dips a little bit on the curb, and that's really where you want to get the maximum rotation before you accelerate. Can just get it flat out if you nail that right-hander and hit the curb right at the sweet spot, but it is tough. Now the Mobil 1 curve, probably the worst corner for these front-wheel drive touring cars. They handle it quite well over the curb. They can take it with slightly softer suspension than single seaters, so they can ride the curbs a bit more aggressively around the Hockenheim ring. The top 3, Zabdir, Biddulph, Farkas. The top 3 in the championship, Biddulph, Farkas, Zabdir. That could be subject to change if Zabdir can have a good round and find himself 50 Great British pounds richer provisionally going into the final 2 rounds of the season. 10 minutes and 53 seconds left to go as they cross the line to start lap number 6. Pushing Zabdir through as Lloyd Biddulph and could well be eyeing up a move maybe into turn number 2. Let's have a look. Or is he going to sit back and watch? But that's the thing. Biddulph is looking forwards to attack, backwards to defend. Farkas is not going to wait around. If he sees an opportunity to take second place back, he is very firmly going to go for it and not hesitate at all. So Biddulph has got a little bit of a fire blowing up his backside in order to sort of get some moves done. He's got to be putting some pressure on offense. For him now is going to be the best defense. Let's see what offense he has got on the table. He's going to get squeezed all the way to the inside. Zabdir defends, brings it back to the left to give Biddulph a bit of a squeeze, who is going to try and send it late. They merge at the apex, but Marius Zabdir stays ahead. Biddulph is forced wide, and there's the run from Farkas. A beautiful up and under run sees the lead co-driver find his way alongside the championship leader. They run their way through the right-hand kink. Is Biddulph going to have the speed to stay alongside? No, he's not. But is he going to have the bravery on the brakes? No, is the answer to that. Biddulph drops down to third. I knew Farkas, as soon as the opportunity arose, he wouldn't hesitate. He finds himself back in second and back into contention for the race lead. 9 minutes, 38 seconds left to go. Race number 1. No changes as they run their way through another corner. The Sachs curve, of course, where Sebastian Vettel bottled his race win back in 2018 as it started to get a little bit damp out on circuit. Heartbreak for him, but no heartbreaks here today either. So everyone at the moment keeping it nice and clean. We've not seen any major incidents, major bits of contact so far. Apexes from all 3 of the top guys. You can use a lot of circuit on the outside of the turn 1, but it is touch and go. It is very, you know, you can use a lot, but don't use too much. And obviously, with it being slightly off the track, you don't really know where the limit is. And of course, with it being turn number 1, and how quick turn number 1 is, it's, you know, it's a dab on the brakes, probably a downshift in these touring cars, and straight back on the power, but you're still turning almost 90 degrees. So the car naturally does want to run out wide. It's so difficult to keep it on the track and still maintain a high speed. But that's the difficulty these guys take on when they try to be the best. We have got the best, especially when it comes to racing experience. For those that are familiar with the ranked championships and things that are ongoing, I'll be taking my debut next Wednesday, actually. On the 8th of November for the race room ranked. I'll be doing 4 weeks straight. I'll have a week off, then I'll do another round for my 5-week stint of this season 2 of the race room ranked championship of 2023 that leaks over into 24, and you'll probably see a lot of these names in there, likes of Zabdir, Farkas. Not sure if Biddulph is doing it, but he'd definitely bode well. Son of it, of course, one of the reigning champions. I believe he won the GT3 Pro Series of last season, but was in contention for both the MX-5 and the KTM GTX Cup until the last round. So a driver that is familiar with this championship will be racing over there as well. So keep your eye out. Maybe some fan favourites here to fight in the Trippsix Motorsport Super Touring Championship, and maybe you'll be seeing some fan favourites from the Trippsix over in the ranks. So be sure to go and cheer them on, of course, every Wednesday. Very close, again, still, as we tick off another lap with just 7 minutes left to go. Still Zabdir from Farkas and Biddulph. Farkas, of course, trying to minimise the points deficit he's going to be losing to Zabdir, of course. 3 points coming into today. But £50 separating second and third in the championship. It's all about slipstream, it's all about that run, and let's see what Zabdir's got in store. Let's see what Farkas has got in store as well. Is he going to be late enough on the brakes? It takes bravery, it takes commitment, it takes trust between the two. Biddulph falling back a little bit. Those links and codes definitely do seem to be mighty on the straights. It forces Zabdir to go defensive. Here comes Farkas sparking a move to the outside. Is Biddulph going to get involved? Not on this particular occasion. It's around the outside. It's a long way for Farkas, close to contact as Biddulph closes the gap. Still no way through. On the brakes now to the Mercedes Arena section. Zabdir once again forced to go defensive. It's the outside for Farkas, but an up and under here is probably more effective. He settles himself ahead. Farkas maybe trying to set up a double up and under. Still nothing. Zabdir, a defensive masterclass, similar to what we saw over the course of season 1. As soon as he got a lead, he did not let it go. I always think back to Silverstone, where him and Lloyd Biddulph consistently came to blows, fighting over a race win. First ever round of this championship, I believe, as well. Some good memories over the course of this season and last. And yet still the same characteristics on show from all of these drivers that have competed. They've improved, but fundamentally their racing style has remained the same. Zabdir likes to get ahead, likes to seize control, and then just likes to park the bus, not let anyone through, likes to become bulletproof essentially. The Polish driver definitely knows how to make that Lynx & Co car twice as wide as it actually is. 5 minutes left to go, probably 3 laps at the line. Or 2 laps at the line, I should say. 3 laps including this one. Fairly plateaued at the moment, these top 3. I mean, it's pretty much the same thing lap after lap. Zabdir defends going into turn 6. Farkas tries to spark a move. Biddulph gets close. They need something. They need a catalyst. They need something to go different. Maybe it could be different this time by Bence Farkas trying to go the long way round. He's slightly braver on the brakes. There is the move from Biddulph, though. He spots the inside perfectly. Bit of contact as they meet on the apex, but still Farkas with the outside run keeps second place. And there we go, 1, 2, and 3 as they were when they entered the braking zone of turn 6. Let's see what Farkas can do though, because this short run that's flat out towards the Mercedes Arena section can well spark an overtaking opportunity. Farkas once more trying to go to the outside, but this time he's got the up and under. Has he got the drive? Zabdir squeezes him nearly to the grass. They're close to contact there. Zabdir very close to the limit, but not a step over it. Biddulph now involved. He's going to have to go defensive. Is Farkas going to the Mobile 1 curb, but opts to take the racing line. Biddulph now practically pushing the Hungarian through as they run towards the next braking zone. The Audi RS3 not quite close enough, so Farkas needs to get a move on if he wants to keep that second place or at least have a chance for the win. Through 2. Penultimate one, and then the last one, I should say. The second to last and then the last is what I was trying to get at. Sud curve, of course, south curve. Before you then get yourself into the north curve, or better known in English as turn number 1. 3.5 minutes left to go of this race. Maybe a deterrent there from Bence Farkas moving his way to the inside just to say to Biddulph, back out of it. Let's play it smart. Let's think about this. Work as a collective force, trying to move their way past Zabdir, who once again is back to his roots, trying to go the long way around to the parabolic gap. But they all follow him because the benefit of the slipstream outweighs that of running the shorter route. Gives Farkas now the outside going into turn number 6. It's deja vu for the last 3 laps that we've seen. He's tried and failed, but this time he's got a decent look. Has he got his foot down? He's over the curb. Zabdir stays ahead. You can see the top 3 as close as ever. Are we going to see yet another attempt going into the Mercedes Arena section? Is Zabdir going to go defensive? He is. Farkas this time maybe knows to try and go for the up and under, but he's tried that, and Biddulph sends the move. There's contact between the pair of them. Biddulph slow, and that's the problem. Is being, with being in second place, is the fact that you can't, or, well, you can, but you find it so much more difficult to set up moves like switchbacks, because the whole point of a switchback is lifting off braking earlier to take a nice wide line, leaving the inside open to then cut back and get a good exit. You do that when a car's behind you, i.e. Lloyd Biddulph. He's going to find a way to fill that inside gap that you're then trying to fill on the exit. It's a recipe for disaster if the driver that's trying to do the switchback isn't aware that that car behind could fill that gap. But it could be the recipe for a very good opportunistic move for that driver in third that's trying to capitalise. If he spots an inside and commits, can very easily go his way. 1 minute 50 left as we cross the line. Is this the last lap? Is it the penultimate lap? 1:48.2 Zabdir running. We'll see if he crossed the line at 0 seconds or with some to spare. Of course, he's going to be hoping this is the final lap. Farkas is going to be hoping there's 2, just to give him that extra opportunity to find a way past. Time is of the essence, and maybe Zabdir is purposefully going to go slow just to ensure the fact that they reach 0 seconds before they cross the line. Biddulph, you can see, committing already to the racing line, just letting Farkas and Zabdir do their thing. The Hungarian, though, very late on the brake. Zabdir just releasing a little bit, running slightly wide of the apex to cover off his bases. Deter Farkas from finding his way past. Nicely done. It's going to be close. 50 seconds. Are they going to make it? Of course, if Zabdir keeps defending, losing time relative to the clock. Oh, Farkas getting desperate. I think it's because he doesn't know whether this is going to be one or one more. Through the Mobile 1 curve for what could be the final time, potentially 30 seconds left on the clock. They've got 4 corners left. 5 corners left. Now make it 4. There we go. I was right. Just 5 seconds out. Marius Zabdir. It's going to be so close. I think he is going to make one more lap. 9, 8, 7. Is it the checker flag being waved? I don't quite think so. Zabdir across the line is going to get one more with 1 second to spare. Now we start the final lap of this race. Absolute nightmare for Zabdir, but he's done it for the last 6 laps. What's one more? Farkas, though, cannot waste this final opportunity to make something stick. Biddulph, either, if he wants to win this race, needs to find a way past 2 cars if he wants to extend his win streak to 5. In fact, actually, no, he lost the win in race 2 in Zolder. So only got second, so he's actually lost his win streak full stop. But anyway, side by side for leaders, Marius Zabdir and Bence Farkas fight it out. Last chance for Farkas arguably, and he's got a nose ahead, but Zabdir straight lines the braking, takes the apex as late as he can. Lloyd Biddulph now getting involved as Farkas is sent wide. Side by side for second nearly. Half a lap left for race number 1 here at the Hockenheim ring. Mercedes sector is ticked done. The last reasonable overtaking opportunity could well be into the Sachs curve, but it's going to take a miracle for Farkas to find a move there. There's Lloyd Biddulph pulling out, thinking about a gap. Nothing. Farkas needs a good exit. He needs to floor it. He needs to send it if he wants any chance at the win. This is do or die, his final opportunity. He's going to take up to C's, and Zabdir has just got to keep it clean for 4 more corners now. 3. Now 2 to go through the penultimate corner, then the Sud curve. He's led perfectly. He's dealt with the pressure. He's kept himself composed. And it is going to be Marius Zabdir that crosses the line here at the Hockenheim ring. Race number 1 goes the way of the pole. Very mighty race ahead of Farkas and Biddulph, his 2 championship rivals. Nicely done. And what a way to take his 3rd race win of the season for Marius Zabdir. And yet another podium etched into the history books for the pole. There are the final finishing orders. You can see Zabdir, Farkas, Biddulph 1, 2 and 3. Pavel Mukkonen fighting his way up to 4th in the end ahead of Nena Blasevlevich and Pascal Jean-Pietre. Charles Oyster, I should say, and Ezekiel Chaminando 7th and 8th for the Argentinian, able to pick his way a place forward and scoring some good points. Stu Neal, Nick Papadin, the top 10. Then comes Alan Axon, Simon Trippsix and Fraser Rostarts in the final finishing orders of this race. It was Bence Farkas that took the fastest lap by 48 dead, going the way of the Hungarian. What a race it was, and yet we get to flip the top 10 on the head, and we go again. 20 minutes of race 2 coming up soon. Round 12 yet to come. My name's still Zach Sweeney in the commentary booth. 4 minutes left of this practice session as a bit of a transition period between race 1 and race 2. Now everyone is in. We're going to skip the session forward. We'll be on the formation where the drivers make their final tweaks. Of course, brake bias wise, whatever they choose, they can change in the setup, and then we're ready to go for 20 more minutes of racing action. Of course, top 10 reverse grid based on race number 1. So it'll be Marius Zabdir starting 10th, Farkas 9th, Biddulph 7th, Pavel Mukonen in 6th. 5 red lights are on, the cars are back onto the grids. It's Stu Neal and Shemananda that share the front row. Let's see if either of them can take their first win of the season. There you can see they're on. Race 2 here in Hockenheim is underway, and a good start from Stu Neal. Ezekiel Chamanando tries to spark a bit of an attack, but not quite close enough. Shaw's always pulls himself alongside momentarily, but is actually trying to keep focus. He's the Swift driver, and Pascal Jean-Pierre tries to pick his way through as well. No way through as it stands. There's Marius Zabdir already ahead of Alan Axon going into turn 1 and into 9th place. Side by side for the leaders, Chamanando immediately puts on an attack on Stu Neal to the inside of turn number 2, but the Brit keeps his foot in, stays firm, stays on the outside and stays ahead of the Argentinian. They're breaking away ever so slightly with some chaos in the background. You can see 3 wide as Simon Trippsix is trying to get himself involved. He's yet to score any meaningful points so far this season and would like to make a change to that today at the Hockenheim ring. Stu Neal leads from Chamanando, but let's see if the Argentinian can spark yet another move for the lead. Inside line as he tries to desperately go for the lead. It's Stu Neal once again on the outside, and it is going to be Chamanando that leads coming out of turn 6. There's an absolute chaos in the background. Not entirely sure who it was. I think Pascal Jean-Pierre now dropped to last place, but still side by side as Stu Neal desperately tries to hang on to that pole position that he very rightfully had after finishing 10th place in race number 1. He switches back to the outside for the Mercedes Arena section, tries to get the up and under, but not quite close enough. Shaw's Oyster and Pavel Mukonen fighting for the final podium place as well. It's a hectic start to race number 2 and still 18 minutes left to go of it. There you can see narrowly staying on circuit there, Pavel Mukonen under pressure as Marius Zabdir is already up to 5th, trying to make it 4th. An amazing start for the pole. Lloyd Biddulph there, you can see right behind him as well, ducking, diving, searching for a gap, but not quite close enough, going into the Saxon curve. The top 2 breaking away, and it'd be quite nice for these guys to close in for their overall race as well. Simon Trippsix trying to fight with Alan Axon for 9th place, but again, even him not quite close enough. Mukonen right amongst it, would like that podium, but would also like to keep Zabdir and Biddulph behind. Up 4 places already, Marius Zabdir. It's done a 1 for the 2nd time. Let's see what these guys have got in store. Bence Farkas in the background trying to go for the move on Nenad Valisavljevic. He's got the move down into turn number 2, but the Serbian is going to try and keep his foot on the outside. Nicely done. It's now going to be a contest of who gets the slipstream. The outside momentum swings the way of Farkas, who is going to have the racing line and stay directly behind those ahead of him. It's a drag race between the 2. Let's see who's got the better legs on the straight. Is it going to be Valisavljevic or is it going to be Bence Farkas in terms of the Audi versus the Lynx & Co straight line speed? Big send in the background. Look at that absolute launch from Bence Farkas, and there's contact. He's into the side of Shaw's Oyster. Oh my goodness me, huge calamity. It's through the middle. Lloyd Biddulph now finds himself side by side with Oyster, and maybe it was Zabdir, I do apologise, that completely sent the move in the background and nearly found himself out of contention of this race. Thankfully, all is good, all is settled down now. 2 rows of 2 as Valisavljevic just side by side with Farkas, who sends the move on Zabdir himself. Close between contact, they are rubbing as they run their way through the right-hander. Biddulph was the one to make the most of that. The championship leader picking his way through the carnage perfectly, side by side as they go to the Mobile 1 curve, and it's of course Oyster just ahead of Zabdir and Farkas, who are running side by side. Cars absolutely everywhere, dust being kicked up in the background as well. Still 16 minutes left to go. Slight little crest over through turn 15 into, or 14 into 15. Lap number 2 is in the books, and it's Chamanando that leads Stu Neal, narrowly ahead of Pavel Mukonen, who rounds off the podium. A bit of a gap back to Lloyd Biddulph though, as he leads the train for 4. There you can see Shaw's Oyster going defensive as Zabdir and Farkas attack from both sides. Zabdir, or Farkas close enough to go inside or outside. Farkas, of course, is trying to use Oyster as a bit of a gap opener, I suppose, to do what Biddulph was doing in race 1 to Farkas. Farkas is trying to do the same to Zabdir, using Zolder's defence. There you can see, ducking to the inside. Are we going to have 3 wide as Bence Farkas sends it all the way to the right? Zabdir narrowly ahead. Zolder very rightfully backs up. He gets a supreme up and under. There's contact on the exit. Zabdir sent all the way off the road. Is he going to be able to rejoin without contact? He's just as he's side by side with Farkas now. Zolder beautifully done to retain 5th place as he chucks the move back to the inside of the kink. Does Farkas. It's the outside for the Mercedes arena section. Late on the brakes between the two of them. Who's going to be the latest? It's going to be Zabdir who stays ahead. Now they've got the Serbian of Vlasovljevic in the mix as well. 4 cars fighting for 5th. The more they battle here, the more time they lose to the top 4. Biddulph searching for a podium, potentially even more than that. Even more outside line for Zabdir going from the Sachs curve. He's got that outside momentum, but the inside camber goes the way of Oyster, but he's just been given the space. Now through the S's, Zabdir trying to keep that inside line, but he's not got it at all. Oyster putting up a valiant defence, and they're close to contact. There was contact, and now the Sud curve inside opens up for Bence Farkas, who's forced to concede as Zabdir shuts the door in his face. Immediately defensive goes Oyster though. He's got to slow down. He's slowing down. He's cut the track somewhere, and he drops back to the back end of this train. That is absolutely heartbreak for Oyster. Heartbreaking, I should say, for Oyster, who's now down to 9th after previously being 5th. Zabdir leads this train. There's the move from Oyster trying to hang on. Versus Alan Axon. Now we've got Vlasovljevic as well. Very close for that fight for the lead. You can see Biddulph now starting a move to the inside of turn 6 for P2. Biddulph picks his way past, a bit of contact on the exit. Stu Neal trying to keep his foot in. Pavel Mukkonen now trying to have his say in this battle. Does the inside open up? It does. He's committed, he's over the curb. He's on the limit. Outside line going into the Mercedes arena section for the Russian driver. He's going to keep his foot in, nicely done. Has he got the legs to keep the inside? No. So unfortunately no changes between these guys, and good news for Chaminado, or well, bad news I suppose. The good news is that he's been able to build a gap. The bad news is that it's now to Lloyd Biddulph, who's chasing him down and well within slipstream range. Nearly halfway through race 2 already. Time definitely does fly when you're having fun. Really with much advancements to be making. Still no changes, but I suppose they're all waiting for this run through 2, 3, and then the run to this Spitskare hairpin. Chaminado, this is going to be his first lap under pressure. Let's see how he copes with it. The reigning champion and current championship leader of Lloyd Biddulph is the one putting the pressure on, so it's not going to be an easy time for the driver in his maiden season of the Trippsix Motorsport Super Touring Championship. Immediately to the inside goes Lloyd Biddulph, but it's thwarted off side by side as well for 3rd as Pavel Mukkonen tries to pick his way to the inside of Stu Neal. He rubs his way through, pushes him wide, but very cleanly works his way past, and now side by side for the lead. Chaminado on the right, Lloyd Biddulph on the left as they hurdle their way towards the Mercedes arena section. Lloyd Biddulph is forced to concede and stay behind the Argentinian for now. Chaminado, it's a win or nothing. He doesn't want to settle for a podium. He wants a win. This is his opportunity to go for one. And there's no point settling. Why settle for 2nd? Why settle for 3rd? There's an opportunity for a win. Take it. He's defended well for the first half. Wants one more. Granted, it wasn't necessarily against Lloyd Biddulph, but the best way to learn is to be thrown into the deep end. That's the same with anything. Chaminado, I have to say, is dealing with this pressure really nicely. Through the Sud curve. 10 minutes, 53 seconds left to go. So we're going to get 11 laps out of this race, maybe 12 actually. We might be able to creep away onto 12. Yeah, it will be. finish lap 5, or well, lap 10, or wait, hang on. They've just finished lap 5. We'll go 11 laps then, I think. How are you getting race 1? I think we just crept our way on to 12 potentially. It was very close. Yeah, lap 12 was the final lap of the race. So maybe we will creep our way onto lap 12. No changes into turn number 6 once again. Side by side behind, you can see Zabdir trying to spark a move on Neil. He is going to be able to get his way through, stop-start between the pair of them, but nice space given from both. Great respect. Zabdir up to 4th and needs to close this gap now if he wants any chance of getting back after Biddulph. Pavel Mikkonen as well could well do Zabdir a favour and put a bit of pressure onto the rear end of the Brit. 1, 2, 3 and 4. Chaminado, Biddulph, Mikkonen and Zabdir. All of whom have got things to prove. Chaminado wants that first podium, wants that first win. Pavel Mikkonen wants to edge his name for yet another podium this season, maybe again his win. Zabdir needs some points in the championship and Biddulph needs to extend it and secure his place at the top. So high stakes for all 4. And only half of a race to decide it. He is practically pushing him as Lloyd Biddulph. Some good offensive strategies being taken, but you can't go for a move into turn number 1 without heavy risk. Weaving around a little bit, maybe again as a deterrent to Pavel Mikkonen to say, let's work together at this, let's come as a combined force. Rather than battling away for second, let's go for the win. Mutual benefits to be had to working together, of course, but at the end of the day, only one driver can win, and Pavel Mikkonen wants it to be him, so how interested is he going to be in fighting with Lloyd Biddulph, or backing off versus Lloyd Biddulph? Is that compromise and that way up he's going to have in his head? 8.5 minutes left to go. Chaminado goes defensive. Biddulph puts some pressure on. Mikkonen in the mix as well. Very late on the brakes from Lloyd Biddulph. Is it too late? He's got the outside line. Is he going to be able to put his foot down? Chaminado retakes the lead. He gets the car ahead. That's the important thing. And now Pavel Mikkonen finds his way on the inside of Lloyd Biddulph as they run their way towards the king. Biddulph, was it a mistake to break that late? Close. Mikkonen thought about it, nearly found a way past. Zabdir now able to close the gap. There you can see, latching onto the back of this 3-car train, nearly making it 4. It's lead fight, I have to say, riveting stuff. Sparks flying as they're all pushing to the absolute limit that they can. 110% being given from each and every single one of these drivers out on circuit today. And they've only got a handful of laps left to prove themselves. Chaminado, I have to say, I'm so impressed. Yes, he was given a higher up position thanks to the reverse grid, but you know, you can take a horse to water, you can't make it drink. Chaminado has been led to the water and he is firmly chugging away at this race. He started on the front row, he took the lead early on, and now finds himself fighting off Biddulph, Mikkonen, now maybe Zabdir as well in the mix. And those are some big names to be thwarting off. Thinking about the move to the inside was Biddulph, but it might well be a burden as he's put himself slightly offline. He could spark a move from Pavel Mikkonen to think about going to the inside or the outside of the Spitsker hairpin. That's going to be what Chaminado is counting on. He's going to be hoping that Biddulph and Mikkonen fight away to allow him to build a bit of a gap, but that's not going to happen. Chaminado is forced to go defensive. How late is Biddulph going to be on the brakes? How late can he be on the brakes? Bit of contact as they run their way through, and Biddulph is sent way too wide on the inside. Pavel Mikkonen nips his way through, up cleanly into second. Lloyd Biddulph drops back to third, and he tried again to move forward, but ended up falling backwards. This time it had happened. And now you've got Pavel Mikkonen sparking a move for the lead to the outside of the Mercedes Arena section. Let's see how efficient he is at getting a move done. But he's got to be careful again. He could well fall into the same trap that Lloyd Biddulph did, is that he's trying so hard, focusing on a fight for the lead, that he forgets about that fight that he's in for second as well. He's in the middle. He's looking forward, he's looking backwards. You've got to prioritise some things at different times and be mindful of both battles at the same time, and that is a difficult skill to have. It's a difficult decision to get right sometimes as well. You take the balance one way and you compromise the other. You know, you fight too hard for second, you lose the fight for first. You fight too hard for first and you could well potentially lose second, like we saw with Lloyd Biddulph. Marius Abdi going to be loving this though, because lap by lap, corner by corner, he reels that gap in more and more. And with only 5 minutes left to go, I have to say, I'm very much looking forward to Road America in the Nürburgring over the course of the next couple of weeks to round off what has been a season that's flown by. As I say, can't wait for season 3 to start provisionally on the 18th of February, so make sure you are tuning in. Hopefully a bigger prize pool, and of course for that Super Touring Cup as opposed to the Super Touring Championship for those that finish off the podium. So a lot of exciting prospects and more news potentially to come for season 3 in the next coming weeks, so keep your eye out for it. If you do want to get yourself involved and you want to be a part of great racing like this, side by side once again, Germanado defensive from Mukkonen, who is going to go to the outside. Is he got the bravery to go all the way round? Not quite able to. Lloyd Biddulph thinking about a move to the inside, but the space gets shut. So yeah, season 3 is coming up in the next couple of months. If you want to get yourself involved in racing like this, if you think you've got what it takes to take it to some of race room's best, then by all means get yourself involved. It would be a pleasure, a privilege to commentate on you. So get yourself into the Trippsix Discord. They'll be in high demand, I'm sure, for the new season. So make sure you are part of that vetting process. That Rich Weatherall, of course, is going to be scratching his head over who to pick from in the final roster of season 3. I have to say, I'm proud of Ezekiel Cheminando. I mean, he came into this season a bit of an unknown. I quoted Cars then. I didn't even realise. That is how subconsciously that movie is in my head. As I said, he came into the season an unknown, and then obviously Dale Carchip says, but everyone knows him now. Not quite to the same extent as Ezekiel Cheminando, because he's not necessarily fighting for a championship, but he's firmly fighting for this race win. And he did, I mean, he was a new driver, amongst others, coming into the season, the likes of Pavel Mukkonen, who is now fighting for a win. These guys didn't recognise them from the new season, that transition period, but they've done a brilliant job at taking to some of the big guys, the likes of Biddulph, the likes of Zabdi, the likes of Farkas, all of whom they're ahead in this race. And have done on a number of occasions so far this season as well, so full respect to them. Defensive goes Cheminando. He's only got a couple more laps left to defend. Outside line from Mukkonen. Zabdi is sending the move to the inside of Biddulph. He squeezes his way through. There's contact! 3 cars involved. Biddulph takes the lead, and Cheminando, heartbreak for the Argentinian. That is huge. Don't rejoin there. I know how desperate you might well be to not lose places, but that was sketchy. Cheminando, that is huge. Biddulph says thank you very much, takes the lead, and I'm sure Zabdi is going to have some very stern words spoken to him. The desperation, the squeeze from Biddulph to the inside, broke way too late, and you could see it coming from a mile away. And that is huge. Apologies for any Cheminando fans out there. Orban, of course, the close friend of Bence Farkas, both of whom have competed in the race room rank side of things. No malice involved in the move there from Zabdi, just an easy mistake, but unfortunately with costly consequences. And in the end, it's actually thrown him off the contention for the podium and drops Pavel Mukkonen down behind Farkas. He's got a second gap to Lloyd Biddulph, and with only 2 laps left to go. In fact, actually, let's see if they do get a 12th lap. It is going to be close. Could we see a last lap send, last lap lunge, maybe, from Bence Farkas? Minute left on the clock here for race number 2. Yeah. Side by side in the background as well. Simon Trebek versus Fraser Rostance, I think, momentarily for the fight for not finishing last. Fernando is continuing on in this race. He's still inside the top 10, which he would firmly take, but it's 9 places lower than he was fighting for. 9 places lower than I'm sure he'd like to settle for. Unfortunate movement, I'm sure one that Fernando is going to be playing back in his head for days to come, maybe. Zolder as well. There is no way he cannot hold his hands up and say sorry for that one, because that was not what we want to see, not what we expect from Zolder, a driver of his caliber, of course. 7 seconds at the line. This might well be the final lap. I think Lloyd Biddulph is going to take it. It's going to be so incredibly close, but it is just about going to end on the 11th lap. Lloyd Biddulph across the line takes victory for race number 2, adding to his total. Ahead of Bence Farkas and Pavel Mukkonen, the race is done, dusted, in the books, and what a race it was. Carnage from start to finish and heartbreak for Fernando. Let's talk you through the final finishing order. Of course, Lloyd Biddulph, yet another victory this season, getting too many to count ahead of Bence Farkas and Pavel Mukkonen, another podium for the Russian. Vasiljevic, Pascal Zonpietri keeping consistent inside the top 5 ahead of Marius Zolder, who chances are probably won't be keeping that 6th place for very long. Stu Neal, Shaw's Oyster 7th and 8th. Alan Axon and Ezekiel Fernando in 9th and 10th. Simon Trebek, Fraser Ross starts to round off the 12th positions on this grid, the final of those that took to the field. Lloyd Biddulph, the only driver into the 47s this evening on a 47.995. Very nicely done, and some very quick times put in. Ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately, that is going to bring an end to our proceedings here this evening, but fear not, in a week's time we'll be back racing once again. The 5th of November sees us take to Road America for the penultimate round. Event 7, rounds 13 and 14 of the Trippsix Motorsport Super Touring Championship. Season number 2 is drawing itself to a close, and more carnage, more excitement, more chaos yet to be had. My name has been Zach Sweeney in the commentary booth. It's been a privilege to talk you through each and every single little bit of racing action, and let's end the season on a high. I'll see you back in a week's time as we take the trip to Road America. It's goodbye for now.